Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back. So I got a little bit for you guys today. We're going to talk about the Android security breakdown. This is probably one of the why is it so bad today? Hang on. While I give everyone time to join in, hang on. All right. This ain't coming out. Okay, actually, it's gotten better. So wow. Okay, I'm bringing the phone closer because I'm using Los Mobile to live stream right now. So this live stream is powered by Los Mobile, and yeah, I had to bring the phone closer. I had it over there on the other charge area by the window, thinking it would get better reception, but yeah, that was pretty bad. So, anyways, all right, Android security breakdown. And we're really gonna get into this. And while I not super prepared for this, but okay. So the issues at hand with Android security. Okay, for the longest time, a lot of people were made to believe that Android is not secure. It's full of viruses. It's just like it's Swiss cheese, right? That's the analogy that Android has been painted out to be to a lot of people, is that it's Swiss cheese. It's got so many holes in its armor that it couldn't dodge a bullet. It couldn't block a bullet if it needed to. And like that statement could it holds water from back in the day, but just like all things evolve over time. And so I'm going to be sharing a video that's from Android Central that really kind of breaks it down so you guys get a better understanding of the security of Android. To see how Android security has changed over the years and how secure has Android become. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest questions ever. Probably one of the biggest questions ever. Let me try something here real quick, because I wonder if these cases kind of interfere. So I'll pop the phone out of the case that... Oh, it's actually warm. The phone is warm. The heat is on. I don't know if you guys ever heard that song. I'll just probably tell you guys just exactly how old I am. Yeah, but Android security has come a long way. And people still get curious about it because they're wondering, like, okay, you know what? Like, if I switch to Android, or if I get an Android, am I going to be plagued with malware and viruses all the time and everything like that? And, my response to a lot of people when it comes to stuff like that has always been that, your device will remain secure so long as the applications that you install on your device come from a credible source, such as the Google Play Store. If you're going to go third-party outsourced for the application and sideload it, then one of the trusted ones that we know of is apkmirror.com. And that's really just that. Any other source or anything like that, and you're bound to have some issues. To be quite honest with everybody, you're bound to have some issues. So Android Central pretty much broke this down really, really well. To even show some surprise, so a lot of people are like, Android devices get 3 years of software support, and that's 3 years of software support. But I think the thing that people kind of confuse is software support and security support. Software support, security support. They both start with an S, but they're not the same thing. Yeah, software support, goes for about 3 years on Google Pixel phones. Most OEMs, they do maybe one or none, right? So it's either one of those. It's one or none. But anyways, we're definitely gonna break this down. So hang on. So if you got like a favorite snack beverage that you'd like to grab right now, I'll give it like a minute. We'll get this video up, and it's gonna be periodic stops so I can explain in layman's term what they're saying when it comes to a more technical side of things. And also, that way it doesn't really hurt the live stream. But it's information. It's prevalent information I think people need to know. Those people out there that are fixated on this 3 years and that's it, your phone is like absolutely 100% vulnerable. Like, no. It's not like that at all whatsoever. And this goes down to the core thing that people kind of like don't really understand when it comes to Google Play Services and what does Google Play Services do. This will actually explain all that to you guys in depth. And so, yeah, wanted to share this video. And it's from Android Central. So you can go back to Android Central's YouTube channel and watch the video again in thorough without any interruptions if you guys want to in the future. But we're going to go over this here. There's one, give it about like another 30 seconds. I'll be right back and we'll get this thing started. All right, let me just full screen this. And here we go. We will get it going right now. Let's cut that background music for a sec. All right.
Android security is supposed to suck. We've heard it plenty of times from plenty of places. Android's fragmented nature and phone manufacturers' laziness when it comes to software updates means your Android phone is just less secure than an iPhone, right? Well, 10 years ago you could maybe make that argument. If a major iPhone software issue was discovered, even something as dumb as phones being bricked by changing the date in a way that angers the gods of Unix, Apple could quickly patch its entire ecosystem. After all, when it comes to the iPhone, Apple's in complete control. On Android, on the other hand, you could be left waiting months if a fix ever made it out to your device.
Okay, so that's like one of the things that we hear a lot of, right? Here, let me put it in this. We put this in this perspective, and let me close the chat overlay for a sec. All right, so now it's full screen. So this is one of the things that we technically hear a lot of, right? We hear a lot of that, Apple security is just eons and eons and eons better than Android, and a lot of us kind of like feel that way, only because with Apple devices they constantly get software updates, right? And that's where we think that the security, like the power of the security lies is in the software update. But you guys are about to be blown away. For those who don't know, for those who know this, you guys are just going to be like, what's the point? Hey, it is what it is. But let's continue on.
For a security issue to be addressed on your 2011-era Android phone, new code first had to be pushed up by Google, then integrated into your phone's firmware by the manufacturer, and eventually customized and signed off by your carrier.
Yep.
This kind of software centipede is not ideal, if time is of the essence, as it likely would be if a nasty new software vulnerability were being exploited in the wild. And this was the case whether it was to update something tiny like the web browser, or something huge like a whole new version of Android. But Android in general, and Android security in particular, has come a long way in the past decade.
That's a little bit nostalgic right there, ice cream sandwich. I don't know if you guys remember ice cream sandwich, Easter egg and everything like that, but that has come a long way for Android. But I mean, what he's saying there is absolutely true. So that's one of the things that, like, I make mention about. I know Gene has asked this question like so many times on live streams. He's like really trying to understand it. And that little breakdown right there, what you saw, and Google puts out the software, and then it's got to be integrated into the firmware from the manufacturer, which is the OEM, and then signed off by the carrier. So even the carrier, makes a play in how like how you get your software updates. This is the reason why a lot of people went with unlocked Android devices, because it eliminated the carrier having to sign off on verifications for a software update, and it just basically just boiled down to Google and the OEM. But yeah, so there you have it. Let's go on.
And I'm going to explain how the tired trope of Android owners never getting updates and Android phones being mired in malware is now well and truly outdated. The best Android phones now guarantee 4 years of regular security patches, and Android itself is also more secure by design. The problem is, the ways in which Google keeps Android safe and secure are kind of nebulous and confusing. Unlike the iPhone, Google's larger, more diverse, and less directly controlled ecosystem requires a different approach to just relying on straight-up firmware updates to fix every issue.
There's a keyword there. That's a keyword there. So, hey, Gene, what's up, man? You'll probably find this interesting on how Android's secure and how all the security stuff works. But so there's a keyword there. Android has a different approach to keeping Android devices secure and safe. Different from what Apple does. Apple does software updates and, all that stuff. Hold on, I got a message here. Let me reply to this. Hey, my daily site, what's going on? But that is that is the key thing there. They do it in a different way. So maybe this will kind of explain why I say that that Android is secure. Without having to have the software updates and everything like that. So Google Play services.
First up, let's talk Google Play services. Pretty much every Android phone sold in the West comes with Play services. It's an important part of the package of mobile apps preloaded onto Google Android phones. Basically, it's an app that can be silently updated by Google in the background. But Play services is far more powerful than your average Android app. That's because it's a system app, which means on your phone it has the keys to the castle, allowing for features like remote wipe of your phone if it's lost or stolen. For that reason, system apps need to be loaded onto your device by the manufacturer. They can't be installed from scratch like a normal app, though they can be securely updated with new functionality once they're there. As of July 2021, current versions of Google Play services are supported all the way back to Android 4.1 Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean, released in 2012, is getting retired in late August 2021. In any case, that means for current Google Play services support, the timeframes we're looking at here are a lot longer than most people will ever keep a smartphone.
So, I mean, just real quick. Hi, babe. Just real quick. So for that understanding, right? Google Play services, like he says, has a key to the castle. So Google Play services basically is the app itself that obviously, it's updated in background, right? You never really see that that Google Play services needs to be updated unless you've actually wiped your phone and haven't used it in a while, and then you log into it and do all, set it up and everything like that. And you'll see that Google Play services has a bunch of updates it has to do. But on the daily, when you're just, walking around doing your thing, the app can update itself. It doesn't alert you that you need to update. It just does it automatically. But again, this is the core apps. You're talking about this, okay? Enjoy. all right, babe. But this is one of the core things about the core components of Android, right? And this is one of the big parts of it, of why it stays secured. And as you guys can see, Google Play services, it goes far back as to Jelly Bean, right? As far as support. So even devices that are running on 4.1.2 Jelly Bean and higher are supported with Google Play services, which is one of the core central parts of Android security. And they will explain why. Let's continue on.
Play services does a whole lot of other things, like letting developers integrate services like Google Pay into their apps. But let's zero in on security. This kind of system app, constantly kept up to date in the background, supported on devices released a decade ago, and with permission to do basically anything, is a powerful tool in Google's Android security arsenal. Google Play Protect, for instance, is part of Play services, and this lets Google check apps on your phone for malware, whether or not they're downloaded from the Play Store. Because Play services is a system app, Play Protect can nuke malicious apps before they have a chance to do any harm. And because Play services is constantly updated, these defenses can be kept up to date in the background for many years after your device receives its last proper firmware update.
Bingo. So that is what Google Play Services is, and then coincides with Play Protect, right? That's what it is. So even if you're not getting security patch updates through, software update on your phone, whether it's a 15 megabyte file that you got to do the whole, software update thing on your device, the security of your device is constantly being updated. Play Protect acts as in what he just said. It constantly scans apps that's on your phone, and any app that you install, whether it's through the Play Store, which is a very mildly low % chance of installing malware, or downloading it from a third-party source, the Play Protect app will actually go after any corrupted app before that application has any chance of actually doing any detrimental damages to your device. So that is one part of the security of what Android has currently today.
It's a way for older devices to be protected against malicious apps, even if those apps want to take advantage of software vulnerabilities that are still technically present in that older version of Android. This can really give old devices a decent level of protection against app-based vulnerabilities. Take this HTC One M9, which was released in early 2015 and is running the 5-year-old Android 6 Marshmallow. Even with very old firmware, it still has Google Play Protect, and it's right up to date on the latest version of Play Services, the same one running on my Galaxy S21 Ultra. But let's go back even further. This is the Samsung Galaxy S2. It arrived in spring 2011, so right now it's over a decade old. It launched on Android 2.3 Gingerbread, but eventually got updated to 4.1 Jelly Bean. And sure enough, that's Google Play Protect on there right alongside the latest version of Play Services, all on a 10-year-old phone. So yeah, with Play Services it's possible even for absolutely ancient phones to have some level of protection from bad apps. Another great example of the power of Google Play Services is the COVID-19 exposure notification system. Google was able to build this system with Apple and, thanks to Play Services, automatically deploy it to every Android phone running 5.0 Lollipop or above without updating their firmware.
So again, this is a level of Android security that does not require anything to be pushed in by software update specifically. Everything is done through Google Play Services, and then it coincides with Play Protect. So that is one of the things. So when people are like, well, this ain't gonna work because it only gets 3 years of software support and I got to make sure that my stuff is secure. Like, yes, while there is vulnerabilities that can be exploited within a specific version of Android, and the security level, the software security level, Play Services kind of like bonds that. I don't want to put it in terms of saying that it band-aids it, because band-aids can be ripped off and everything like that, and obviously, but it's like, think of it like a cement block that has cracks in it, right? Like you try to make a smooth block of cement, but there's just cracks here and there. So Play Services along with Play Protect are like fillers. They fill that crack to secure it. So even if like the next cement block that you make is much smoother and doesn't have the same cracks as the previous one did, which obviously that would reference to software security updates via software patch, Google Play Services along with Play Protect act in that same way. So yeah, you don't have to get a system update pushed out to your phone, because this is automatically updated behind the scenes in Google Play Services along with Play Protect. So if your phone is still getting software support from its OEM, or even if your Google Pixel phone is still within the loop of getting software support, then you're golden, because you have the software support that you're still getting. So the security patch updates that are coming out, you're still getting those, but then you're also getting Google Play Services and then Play Protect, basically protecting your phone too. Now, if your phone's not supported anymore, you are in fact still getting a level of protection, and it's not like a cheapy level, like this will just hold it for maybe like 10 seconds and then it's gonna bust through. Like, no, you are still getting it. So technically your phone is still supported. And like I said, Google Play Services, and not I said, but they said it, Google Play Services runs as far back as 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, right? A decade ago. Like it's up to date. Google Play Services and Play Protect is up to date on devices such as the Galaxy S2. That's a long time ago. We're on the S21 right now, and the S2 still has a level of protection for it being an outdated software, no software support anymore, yet it's still getting security support through Google Play Services and Play Protect. So just wanted to kind of point that out.
So when scary security vulnerabilities emerge, as happened in 2014 with the Fake ID bug, Google immediately updated the security features of Play Services to identify the offending apps. This allowed Fake ID to basically be nipped in the bud long before manufacturers got around to rolling out firmware updates to address the underlying software bug, which, in 2014 would not have been a particularly speedy process.
Modular Android.
Of course, not having those vulnerabilities in the first place is better than just preventing them from being exploited. That's why in recent years Google has tackled Android's long-standing firmware update problem in a bunch of different ways. A decade ago, Android was this big monolithic entity that had to be updated all in one go. Changes to system-level things like media codecs or networking, or even the built-in web browser or dialer app, could only be done via a full firmware update with all the hassle that entails.
So that's what he's talking about before. Before all this was implemented in, everything had to be done basically by a software update. And so this is where Android evolved and became better, right? So before Android is the way it is now, any security updates, anything like that had to be done on a software update. But then they decided to break it up into pieces to allow them to be able to update without having to do like a full software update all the time. Okay, let me answer this question here. But why does devices get security patches dated back to May 1st, 2021? Like my device has it. It's not July 13, 2021. So again, there are software updates with security patches that patch the vulnerability in the operating system itself. That's a security patch. What Play Services does is it is updated with what the latest threats are so it can seek and destroy. Like I said, two levels of things. One of them patches it so it's no longer vulnerable. The other one protects against it. Okay. So if you have a phone that can get software patches, then that alongside with Google Play Services and Play Protect, it's like patching the hole in the fence and then putting like a barrier fence around that area. For a phone that's no longer supported, then patching the hole in the fence is not an option because they're no longer doing the software, but there is still a protection for that vulnerability, and that is through Google Play Services along with Play Protect. So that the barrier that's put in front of that vulnerability is still there through Google Play Services. So this is what I mean, like the confusion of Android security and those people who say that that's the security of Android is like Swiss cheese. There's too many holes in it. Yes, but if you're thinking like software patch with a security software patch update, that just like fills the hole in the Swiss cheese with more cheese. But Google Play Services is like putting the cellophane wrapper around the cheese, so like bacteria and stuff don't get in. That's the best analogy that I can use right now to kind of explain that in layman's terms. So that is it. That is the thing. So like even older phones that no longer get security patch updates, while the vulnerabilities are not patched, it doesn't mean that it's completely wide open vulnerable. Because think about it like this: if the software support had stopped and there's no more, they weren't patching any vulnerabilities in the software itself, then there would be an outbreak record time of like so many phones being completely installed with malware and having malicious things happen. And of course, with a level that high of people, because people don't really update their phones like we think they do. Some people will stick with the phone for maybe like another 3 years. They would definitely jump ship out of Android, knowing that their phone is that completely vulnerable and that they're experiencing all kinds of issues with their device. They have their banking info, they have photos, they have photos and other stuff on their phone, and they would just take their stuff elsewhere if Android was that bad with security. But it's not. I think the reason why that, there's this big mythical thing of like, Android being like super cheap, Game Boy level security type thing is because those people who don't care for Android don't dive deep enough to really know Android, right? They only scratch the surface of knowledge of Android and then they leave it at that. Those who are diehard Android, enthusiasts such as myself, tend to scratch deeper in, for the rebuttals and stuff like that. So, but anyways, hopefully that answers your question. Let's continue on.
And like I mentioned earlier, that's slow and pretty bad for security if an exploitable bug is discovered. In the years since then, Google has made Android's code more modular, making it quicker and easier for companies to push out those OS updates. And more recently, it's now possible to update chunks of the Android operating system without a full firmware update. All of this makes it possible for Google and the manufacturers to respond fast to fix security issues in certain parts of Android.
Let me pause real quick, because it looks like that the signal is dropping with Los Mobile. I don't know why. I have hotspot on. It's connected to it. Let me know, everyone. Let me know real quick. Is it really badly freezing up with the audio and visual? Real quick before I go forward, because I don't know what's going on here or why it's dropped in the signal. In the signal, it's dropped. So I just want to make sure. Okay, it says we're back. All right, let's go. Okay, you heard audio but no video. Is the video back now? Can you see the video now? I just want to make sure before I go forward, so you guys can see the visuals and everything like that. All right, we'll continue on. Let's go.
Google's earliest steps in this direction involved breaking certain apps and components out of the firmware and allowing them to be updated via the Google Play Store. The best examples are Google Chrome and the Android WebView component used for web content inside Android apps. Updating these independently of the firmware lets Google fix browser engine bugs that could be exploited by malicious web pages and get them rolled out to the entire Android ecosystem in hours instead of months. Then in 2017, with Android 8.0 Oreo, Google stepped things up a gear with Project Treble. This was an effort to disentangle the low-level bits of Android from chipset manufacturers like Qualcomm from the rest of the operating system and create a more modular OS that could be updated more quickly. So with hardware companies able to separate out their own customizations from the core OS, the idea was that firmware updates could then be pushed out at a more rapid pace with less technical legwork, because companies wouldn't have to rewrite so much of their own code. Project Treble isn't something you'll ever notice being on your device, but it could be the reason why the Android phone you bought in 2018 got updates a lot quicker than the one you purchased in 2016. The next step from Google came in Android 10 with Project Mainline, known today as the vaguely named Google Play System Updates. Project Mainline is all about sidestepping the existing over-the-air firmware process completely and bundling parts of Android into new modules which can then be updated directly by Google or your phone's manufacturer. In Android 11, Mainline includes updatable modules for more Android system bits like Wi-Fi, tethering, and neural networking. And in Android 12, it'll also cover ART, the Android runtime, bringing even more security benefits. That means in future, any sort of security exploit found in the Android runtime could be fixed almost instantly across every phone running Android 12 without the manufacturer or carrier needing to get involved.
That's a big step right there. That's a huge step. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited for Android 12. And I watched that keynote when they were talking about it behind the scenes with the virtual Google I/O. So think about it like this, right? So before, when you needed security updates for your Android device, think of it like getting a pie. So they had to bake a new pie every time and give it out to you. Every time that there was some sort of vulnerability, it's like, okay, let's go and let's bake a new pie and let's give it out to you. When they decided to make Android modular, they decided to cut up these pies. So you're given a pie with 8 slices, but maybe one out of the 8 slices is a bit dense, a bit weak. Well, you can easily just take that slice out of the pie and take another slice that's much stronger and put that into the pie to make the pie look whole and beautiful and tasty. That is the concept of what Google has done with Android. Okay, Gene says, but like I asked before, I know I'm being repetitive with this question, but the OEM decides what security patches that are sent out, or is that Google? It is the OEM. The OEM decides how long they're going to support that phone through security patches. The security patches are already there, like the guy just said in this video. Google puts it out there. The OEM, before, it used to be tougher for the OEM, and that's why it took a while, is because the OEM used to have to take Android or the security patch or whatever that Google put out, and they had to rewrite it in their own code and then upload it to their devices. Mind you, if it's a carrier device, then before it even gets to the phone, if, like, say Samsung has to rewrite some code for it to fit with their firmware, they would have to send it to Verizon, and Verizon would have to okay the approval. If it's an unlocked device, then you bypass that last step, and it's just from the OEM to the phone. But that's still at OEM discretion. So, like I said, this is the reason why that most devices really don't get that longevity of support, is because OEMs like Samsung and everybody else know it's lucrative for them. And I mean, it's money making for them to sell a brand new phone than to sell Android, because they can't sell Android. It's open source. They're licensed to use it, but they cannot sell it. They cannot sell it without facing a big lawsuit from Google. So the only way to do that is they sell a brand new phone. Samsung Galaxy S20, let's sell a Galaxy S21. That's the mentality that OEMs have. And Google can't do nothing about it. They can't go and say, that's not fair to consumers, we're going to sue you. They cannot, as they license Android to be used by Samsung and other OEMs, but they don't control what they do with it. That is one of the big things that people frown upon with the open source from the Android side, is that Google can't. Just like Google can't force Samsung and LG and all them to use RCS messaging as a default messaging, right? But carriers like AT&T and T-Mobile, and possibly in the future Verizon, they can. And so it's, like I said, that's the other side of fragmentation that most consumers don't like when it comes to Android and the operating system. So Gene says, so that's why the OEM are 3 months behind in security patch updates. They are. At times, they do have to rewrite code so that way that the security patch will fit in the firmware. That is one of the reasons why that they are sometimes 3 months behind. And the other reason why is because maybe they've been sitting on it deciding, are we going to push this out to this phone, or are we just going to make another generation of it, right? Like, for instance, the A71. Let's say that the A71, are we going to update that? That's what they all decide. Some will probably be like, nah, we'll just make an A72. We can make a couple of $100 off this update. So that is the mentality that the OEMs have. So that's what hurts consumers the most, is just when you buy from them. I guess this is one of the quintessential reasons why that I really flock towards Google Pixels, besides the fact that they're just really kick-ass phones when it comes to still photography and even videography. But also, I don't ever have to worry about an OEM deciding whether the phone is going to get updated or not. That's all in the hands of Google. So, like, if the Pixel 2 XL is no longer supported, that's Google. I don't have to be like, well, is it Google that's doing this, or is it LG doing this? Like, no, it's Google that's doing it. So I get my answers right there directly. I don't ever have to wonder, geez, why am I not getting this? But will the security patch updates that are 3 months behind still be secure? They'll be secure to what vulnerabilities they knew 3 months ago. Any new vulnerabilities that, there's a vulnerability discovered today, then that security patch that was released 3 months ago is not going to patch that. So you'll still slightly be vulnerable. But the reason why that they're okay with doing that is, again, it goes down to the Google Play Services and Play Protect. So look at it like this. The Google Play Services and Play Protect are the main defense on Android phones. Those are the main defenses that you got to really be looking at. The patches are patches. They patch that vulnerability, and that's okay. It's patched. Doesn't mean that whatever could attack that, whatever could be an exploit to that, can't find another way. That's not what a security patch does. It just patches that vulnerability from the exploit taking advantage of it. However, if there's another loophole behind that exploit, then that exploit will find another way to do it. This is where Google Play Services and Play Protect come in as the defense. That's the security level that protects your phone, is Google Play Services and Play Protect. Software security patches are just patches. Please help me. You're not telling me what I need to help you with. You got to explain. If it's something I can help with, I'd be glad to help. But yeah. All right, let's continue on. We got like a little bit of time left in this video.
To understand how Android security has improved so much since the early 2010s, it's interesting to take a look at one of the past decade's major Android security scares, the stage fright bug of 2015.
I remember that.
Stage fright involved an exploit in the part of Android's code used to process media files, which could in theory allow a specially modified video file to run bad code on your phone. Despite all the fuss at the time, there's no evidence that stage fright was ever widely used in real-world malware, probably because of other security precautions in Android that made it very difficult to take advantage of. Nevertheless, it was big news, and in 2015 there was no single silver bullet for stage fright. Unlike an app-based vulnerability, Google Play Protect couldn't stop bad media files from potentially compromising your phone. The only real fix was to wait for a firmware update and hope for the best. But if something like stage fright were discovered today, it would be pretty trivial to address. Google would simply prepare a project mainline update for the media playback library and instantly fix the bug across every device running Android 10 and above. And with more of Android being modularized in each new version, it's far less likely that Google will ever be caught with its pants down in future like it was with stage fright 6 years ago. As a direct result of the stage fright bug, in late 2015 Google introduced Android security patch levels, tying a precise date to the level of security in any Google-approved Android phone. New patches are issued every month addressing recently discovered security issues, with manufacturers given a 1 to 2 month lead time to get security patches pushed out to devices. The extra visibility of the security patch.
So there, they kind of answered your question. So they're given a little bit of leeway to when they gotta push that level out. Now, don't get that confused with that the OEM has to do it. Okay, they're given 1 to 2 month leeway to get that security patch out that patches any vulnerabilities that they find that is not, it can't you can't really rely just on Google Play Services and Play Protect to protect against, which is why they brought up the stage fright situation that happened about 6 years ago, because that's not an app level thing that was malware. That was like, if you downloaded a video from like a video source that had malware attached to it and ran that code as you're playing video, you were installing malware onto your phone by watching a video through stage fright. That was one of the big things. I remember a lot of people were freaking out. They even created apps that would tell you if your device was vulnerable to stage fright. And that had to be done. That's one of the times where the security patch is really, really, really important. Which, it's through the project mainline. That's how they send it out, is through, it's a security patch. But the problem with that is that most OEMs know that when you hear about these things and you're not wanting to go to iOS, you're more than likely 9 times out of 10 to just go and upgrade to a new phone. So this is where they become, I don't want to really put them in a bad light, but they kind of strong arm you to buy a new phone with those types of vulnerabilities. That's what's really bad. That's why a lot of people use security software on their Android devices. It's not why they use security software. It's like how to put it. Try to put it in a way that everyone can understand. It's just, it goes back to that whole fence thing, right? So like, you have a hole in the fence, the security patch, that's what patches the fence. Play Protect and Google Play Services, that is building an outer fence that surrounds the vulnerable area of the fence that's been patched. That's the best way I can explain it. So even if there's still a hole in the fence, if you have an outer fence protecting that hole in the fence, nothing's getting through because of that fence. The only way that something will get through is if you do it by your own hand. So if you lift the gate and let a virus in through that hole in the fence, then that would be by your hands. It'd be by your fault that happened, and you would definitely have to know what you're doing in order for that type of effect to happen. But if you're just like a set it and forget it type of person, which most of us are with our smartphones, we don't break into the software and go extensively deep diving in it. then the chances of you allowing something through is very bare minimum. Your satellite TV is out now. Well, hopefully it comes back, Bobby. All right, let's see. How I updated my security patch. What do you mean how you updated your security patch? What did you do? And for what phone? Like, any details, like the phone that you have, what steps did you do? I need those things for you to tell me in order for me to figure out what's going on. And you need to tell me exactly what's going on with your phone, because updating a security patch is updating a security patch. But what's happening? What happened to your phone? Like, please explain in detail. Okay, so we're just a little bit left in this video here, and then we'll go more into it. We'll just play this last half.
Patch level showed consumers who was doing their job in terms of security and who was dragging their heels, while also giving peace of mind when those new updates arrived. More recently, Google has started to write minimum levels of security support into its contracts with Android manufacturers. In 2018, Verge reported that phone makers would need to guarantee at least 2 years of security updates for new phones, with at least 4 security updates within the first year. By the standards of most high-end phones, that's a pretty basic level of support, but that's just what it is, a bare minimum. Many others at the high end go much further, including Samsung with its promise of 4 years of security updates for major Galaxy phones. Between faster OS updates thanks to Project Treble, easier updates to individual chunks of the OS thanks to Project Mainline, longer support lifespans thanks to those new contracts, and a strong last line of defense against malware from Google Play Protect, Android security today is robust. When it comes to mobile security in 2021, most of the highly publicized risks come in the form of phishing attacks as opposed to malicious apps or files. Or, in other words, as Android security has been strengthened, the bad guys are increasingly looking to trick you and not your phone's software. That's not to say the situation around Android security and updates is perfect. In an ideal world, Google would be just as nimble as Apple when it comes to patching out security vulnerabilities. With Project Mainline, we're definitely getting there, but it'll take time for the benefits of the new Mainline modules introduced in Android 11 and Android 12 to trickle out to the Android ecosystem. And Google Play Protect, as good as it is limited to neutralizing app-based malware as opposed to other kinds of threats. And I would argue that the contractual bare minimum of 1 security update every 3 months definitely doesn't go far enough. At the same time, right now the old stereotype of Android being rife with malware and security exploits is further from the truth than it's ever been. And direct comparisons with the iOS update model don't give you the full picture at all, because they overlook all those important little parts of Android like Play services and Project Mainline. We've come a long way since the early 2010s, and the past decade of progress means Android is pretty well positioned to see off the software threats of the future. That's it for now. Let us know what you think of the
Okay, so that's pretty much it. You guys can go to Android Central to watch that thing in full view without it being chopped up and everything like that. But the last statement that he said in that video, that's exactly the point that I'm addressing with all this, really. So that is one of the things. Those people that don't like Android, or they may be on the iOS team, iOS fanboys and stuff like that. They always tend to go to that, and they always bring this idea to a lot of people that Android is full of malware, full of bugs, full of viruses. It's like they always pitch it like it's that jar in Dr. Mario full of viruses and everything like that. And that's furthest from what it actually is. It's a matter of fact that, the approach that Google is going to security updates is very different from iOS. And this is the reason why that there's always this debate. iOS will do every security update through software update, right? So like when you get iOS 14, like iOS 14, right? Then there's a bug discovered. There's a system update to iOS 14.4. Another bug discovered. Then 14.2, 14.2.3, 14.2.4. Like they always send it out in a software update. Whereas Google broke it up into modules, so it makes it easier for them to protect and attack malware without needing to constantly send you software updates. As you can see, that Google is trying to strong arm OEMs to produce the security patch updates to their devices, with recent contracts between OEMs and Google wanting 2 years of support and 4 security patch updates within the first year. So even if your software update is slightly out of date, the OEM must must put that security patch out, but doesn't mean that it has to put every security patch out. And hang on here, let me go to my about device and we shall see here. Right, so if you go into your Android phone, you go to settings, you go to about device, and you click on Android version, right? You'll get a list of things you can see here. Android 11 is on my Pixel 5. Android security update June 5th, because I didn't do the July one yet. But then it says play system update January 1st, 2021, right? The play system update is not going to be a monthly thing. It's, this is what protects you from malicious software on applications. And that is updated periodically, but not monthly. The Android security patch, that is done monthly. However, hang on here. I might as well do that system update while I'm on the live. We're checking now. It should have the July security patch. There it goes, preparing system update. So it's going to do that. But that doesn't mean that because you don't have the July 5th security patch, that means that your phone is just completely wide open, like someone unlocked the door and left the door to your house open. It's nothing like that. It's comparing it in an analogy. It's like having a key entry lock on your door and then, a biometric lock on your door. And when you don't have the latest security patch, then it's like your door is still closed, it's still locked, but you got to use the old school key method to get in versus using a fingerprint to unlock your door. That's the analogy I'll give it for people to understand. So Android is secure. Anyone can come on here and argue that point and say it's full of this, it's full of that. And I always go back to this thing. The horror stories that people hear about Android is full of malware, it's full of viruses, but those things were installed by the user themselves. Those people who want to cheat in a game and download an app from a third-party source, maybe they download it from some funky website that says trustme.com. I have an APK file with cracked coding inside of it that gives you unlimited money for this game. And you're like, oh, I want to do that because I want to beat the game. And you download it, you install it, not knowing that there is malicious software attached to the application. You just installed that on your phone. You just made your phone full of install a malicious software, and whatever happens from that happens from that. But that was by your own doing, by your own hands. And iOS can be in the same way too. If you mod iOS, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, babe. I'm almost done though. If you mod iOS, like you jailbreak it and you start putting in applications on iOS that has malware attached to it, same concept. You just put malware. I know, babe. We just finished watching that video, reacting to that video. I'm almost done here. But you put the software on iOS with malware attached to it. You just installed malicious software on iOS. It's the same concept. There isn't one over the other. The thing of what people say, and Carlos says it a lot. You try to go to war with Carlos on iOS, and he will throw this at you no matter what. And it sounds good. It sounds good from that perspective because it is, and that is Apple will not bend to the FBI or CIA or anybody and create a backdoor system for them to get into an iPhone, whether there's a good reason or not a good reason. They just rather protect consumer privacy. And that is a very strong case. It's a very strong case when you think about it. And I'm not going to say that that's a flaw or anything like that to iOS. That's actually a good point to iOS because with Android, you can backdoor and get in if you need to. For me personally, I don't think 1.7 million U.S. Americans out here are even concerned or doing anything to that extent that would even have the FBI or CIA actually look their way. So that's the other side to that's not mentioned. It is mentioned that Apple will never backdoor their iPhones for anyone to get into it. And then the conversation stops there. But you want to keep the conversation going. 1.7 to 2 million U.S. American citizens are not concerned with the FBI or CIA ever wanting to get into their phone because they're not doing anything on their phones that would even yield the CIA or FBI looking at them. You know what I mean? Like the whole pitch of security and the government is spying I think is taken really, really, really out of context. Like, yes, is the government spying? More than likely. Can your like laptop camera be activated without the activated light being on and someone could be watching you? Yes, absolutely. But what am I to any government, security system that they would have to come and watch me? I mean, like, I'm not doing anything illegal. I have nothing really to worry about. What are they going to get from getting my photos of me eating a burger or taking a picture of some Kalbi ribs and fried rice and stuff like that? What are they going to get from that? Other than the fact that they'll probably get hungry and order out, Asian cuisine. I'm not downplaying some of these things here because yes, you do need some level of security. But I will say this, that Android is far from being classified as Game Boy level security. It is secure. It has its methods of being secure. It's doing it a very different way than what iOS does, but that doesn't make it wrong or say that it's unsecure just because they decide to go modular with Project Mainline and Project Treble and all these other things to update aspects of Android security without needing to rely on an entire software push. They can update these things individually, piece by piece, keep them up to date, keep a specific team writing for that specific area so that, it can push things to be more manageable and faster. The fact that OEMs are not putting out these software security patches as quickly as we would all like, that's with the OEM. However, they do have a contractual agreement with Google to actually do this at least 4 times in a year. So maybe you may be 3 months behind, but you might get the next security patch update coming up pretty soon. You may be about a month or 2 behind. And while that's not ideal to be a month or 2 behind, it's far better than what it used to be on Android where you were years behind or no longer supported. And so as Android continues to grow, like they said, with Android 12, and this is something that I've seen at Google I/O with one of the second day keynotes that I attended on the virtual side, and they talked about this, that how Project Mainline was going to be much better, streamlined better. It's very optimistic for the future of Android security. And so that is it for this live stream. Hopefully those people who were ever curious about Android security got something out of it. Like I said, go to Android Central's YouTube channel if you want to watch that video entirely with no interruptions. It is the video was put out a day ago, and I just thought it was really, really good explanation on Android security and wanted to share that video with everybody. And just know, Android is secure. You have several levels of security. Android has its Google Play services, which is the core of the system. Play Protect, that protects against malicious software ran through by applications. And then you got the security patch updates from Google that patches vulnerabilities. And like they said, majority of the attacks are now from phishing. That's why we're getting a lot of scam calls, because manipulating Android and its vulnerabilities to get information is not as easy as it used to be 10 years ago. So the most efficient way for scammers to steal information from you would be to just phish it from you from a scam-related phone call. And with Google, we get call screening. So big thumbs up there. If you guys enjoyed it and what I had to say, let me know. Smash that like button because it really helps. If you have not subscribed to the channel and you'd like to, I'd really appreciate that. Turn on notifications so you guys don't miss a live stream that I do or a video that I upload. And I'm also on Odyssey. So if anyone has been making the jump to Odyssey, my channel is there. I will put the link in the description. I haven't done that yet, but I will update those, put that in the description. So if you guys want to watch on Odyssey, you guys will see these videos on Odyssey as well. That is it for right now, guys. I'm jamming out of here. I got other things to do. You guys got other things to do too. So be safe out there. As always, law. And again,